So in March of 1992, when the synagogue's annual meeting approved the hiring of me as the first rabbi at CBST, the New York Times that day had an article in the paper announcing that the synagogue was voting to have its first rabbi, and a picture of me appeared in the article, and underneath it said, "Lesbian Rabbi Sharon Kleinbaum will be the first rabbi at CBST." That was the first time I was identified in the New York Times as a lesbian rabbi. And I was a little nervous, about what my mother and father would think. And my siblings are here, my nieces and nephews, and my whole family is here. And my mother, Josephine, was, of course, a very steadfast member of the synagogue. But at that time, she wasn't so excited about the particular choice I was making. And I very nervously called her up because I knew she was going to see, and I wanted to jump right in. And I said, "Mom, did you see the article?" And I was waiting for her to say something about the fact that the caption said lesbian rabbi. And what did she say? She said, "Sharon, your hair looked terrible. What a terrible picture. That was horrible. You look terrible." Yes, Josephine. It's overwhelming to be here and to listen to these deep and profound words of tribute and of honoring me, because I know, first of all, that the most important thing is that everything that we've accomplished these 32 years, we've done together. I know that the best things that have been accomplished under my leadership has been because I've done it with so many of you, that there's been such deep collaborations and so many great ideas, and there's been a generativity and an excitement about the possibilities. And I have to say that most of the CBST boards that I have dealt with over these 32 years did a very unusual thing, which is when I came up with another one of my cockamamie crazy ideas, mostly the presidents and the boards said, "Yes, how do we do it?" And that I give such enormous credit. I want to ask anybody who has served on a board in these 32 years, including the current board, to please stand and to offer gratitude to everybody who has served on the board of directors of CBST all these years. A huge thank you to Sabrina Farber, who is our current president of our board of directors. Being on a board of a synagogue has been compared to being on a co-op board in a New York City co-op. It's a painful experience, but one thing we have tried to do is to develop a community of lay leaders who would step forward and understand the profound need that we have as a community. I want to ask everybody who's ever served on the staff of CBST to stand. Who here is from the current staff and previous staffs? Please stand. A huge thank you to everyone who has ever served CBST in a staff role. That's an enormous responsibility and not always appreciated day to day. So I want to share these honors with everybody who has served in the past or serves now. And the staff that put this event together, incredible. Where is Barbara Gaines? Can we have Barbara Gaines on the stage? Barbara Gaines. I'm pulling a David Letterman here. Where's Barbara Gaines? Come on. Come on, Barbara. I want a huge thanks to all of the performers, to Joyce Rosenzweig, to Cantor Rosen, to Rabbi Werber, to Rabbi James, to all of the performers, Seth Rudetsky, and all of the performers who performed this evening. I love chamber music. I love Broadway. I love Vici d'Arte. I love opera. So thank you to all of the performers and to everyone who is on the stage. and to the committee that really did the programming for this, which was Barbara Gaines, Adria Benjamin, Joyce Rosenzweig, Cantor Sam Rosen, Seth Rudetsky, to the co-chairs of the event, Lisa Kartzman and Eric Rosenbaum. Would you stand, please? Would you both stand? I love you both so much. To Jeffrey Seller, where are you, Jeffrey? Jeffrey Seller, thank you so much. You made so much of this happen in all of your magic. To Bill Fern, Bill, would you please stand so the congregation can thank you? I'm delighted and thrilled that Rabbi Jason Klein, CBST's next senior rabbi, my successor, is here tonight. Rabbi Klein, would you stand? I look forward to working with you to make this transition a good one and to doing everything to support the future of CBST. I'm thrilled, really thrilled, that so much of my family is here, and I'd like to ask my whole family to stand. My family is here from Minnesota, from California, New Jersey, New York, Illinois, no, not Illinois, California. Love everybody. And of course, to thank my wife, Randy, who spoke so beautifully. And it's not easy being the spouse of a rabbi, but honestly, it's not easy being the spouse of a union leader either. So let's just say it's a little bit of a debate who has it harder, but I'm very, very grateful for all of your love, Randy, and for all of your support for all of these years. And into the future we go. There are very brief things I want to offer tonight. There are some principles that I have embodied and tried to carry forward in everything that we do here. And let me say this again. What we've accomplished here has been done together. I'm being honored tonight, but really, 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 it's only because I'm retiring. We're really honoring everybody here. We just don't want all of you to leave or go anywhere. So, principle number one, more than numbers. The metric by which a synagogue should be judged is not how many people are at a given service, a given class, a given program. The metric that should be used is how much each person who comes in contact with that synagogue community is personally, profoundly, and deeply transformed. That is the only metric that should matter. And it has been my goal that every human being that is in contact with CBST, whether it's one time coming to a Javits Center Yom Kippur service, or one time to a class, or a regular, is personally, spiritually transformed by being a piece of CBST. Let me hear from you. Has anybody here been transformed by being connected to CBST? That is the measure, that is the metric, that is the definition of what we as a community should always strive for. Second thing, how do we consistently and constantly deepen our anticipation and yearning for Shabbat? How do we create a consciousness that Shabbat as Olam Haba, as a taste of the world to come, is available to us every single week? No matter what our Jewish observance, we understand that the best way to defeat anti-Semitism in the world today is to be more Jewish. That is the most effective way to transform the hate in the world to the vision of what we want, what we imagine, what we dream for. The third thing is that there are three things that students of religious communities analyze as the reasons people join a religious community. The first, and most people settle for one. The first is the community of people who are there, the community of people you get to schmooze with at Kiddush, the community of people you hang out with. The second is the prayer life, the music, the language of spiritual ascendancy, the community's prayer life, music. And the third is the intellectual life of the community, are the drashot and the classes challenging people to go beyond where we are intellectually, to learn new things and to understand the mind and the heart must always be evolving and developing and live in the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Most scholars of religion say you're lucky if you get one of those. If you're really, really, really lucky, you get two. But my goal for CBST is that we all get three, all three. A community we love, a prayer and music life that transforms our spiritual innards, and an intellectual life that doesn't talk down to us, but in fact encourages us to see Judaism as a source of profound intellectual curiosity and inquiry. So I want to read something tonight briefly. I know it's late and I'm so really choked up. 32 years ago, I started at CBST, never having imagined I would be a congregational rabbi. I didn't go to rabbinical school to become a congregational rabbi, and it's a kind of a fluke that I ended up here. But I want to read from the essay I wrote to go to rabbinical school. I wrote this essay in 1984. I'm going to read only an excerpt. I travel a lot, and of course it's typewritten with whiteout, for those of you who might remember what that was like. I travel a lot in search of Yiddish books. It's not that difficult, really. I usually have long lists of people who are extremely anxious for me to take the books. It's an unusual and fortunate position I'm in. Here I am at age 25, and I spend most of my time with older Jews, most of whom were born in another time and in another place. And I have learned so much from them. I have learned much about myself as an English-speaking North American Jew from these Yiddish-speaking Eastern European Jews. Each home, each apartment, each tenement, each condo, each nursing home I go to, I sit and talk. Because as the assistant director of the National Yiddish Book Center, one of my jobs is to collect the Yiddish books from the generation who read them and who is dying. Each time, they cry as they pass the books on to us, to Aaron Lansky and to myself. For them, being part of Am HaSefer is not an abstract literary metaphor. It is their identity. They are worried and frightened and alarmed that they will die without having taken care of their books. And they know that these books are immortal. And the books they call their oitzris, treasures. And when they hand them one by one with kisses to me, they tell me I am receiving their Yerusha, their inheritance, their legacy to the world. And these are the words they use. And I ask myself, what is my generation collecting as oitzris? What Yerusha will be ours? Will we be able to pass on? These old people are passionate about their dreams. I live in an age where cynicism and materialism are not only acceptable, but worshipped. Why does my generation, comfortable and young, feel cynical, and that generation, older and threatened and having lived through so much suffering, dream and so full of those dreams? When I started working at the National Yiddish Book Center, it was a group of young progressive Jews trying to create a positive Jewish identity and culture. And now, as I finish these 32 years at CBST, fully half of my life, I know what part of my Yerusha is. I know what my oitzris, my treasures are. My treasures are all of the Cooperberg Ripmaster rabbinical interns who schlepped from so far away to be here tonight. My oitzris are each of you who have sat in a Psalms class with me, or sat in a service that I've led, or argued with me about how long a particular setting is for a particular piece of music. My oitzris are being in the funerals of people who couldn't be buried by their own rabbis because their own rabbis denied that they were even gay, forget the fact that they died from AIDS, and we as a community would do a second funeral to make sure their wholeness and their completeness as human beings was treated with respect by a rabbi and a Jewish community in front of the God that I know loved them. My oitros are all of you who work so hard on the board of directors against great odds to try and make it all come together. My oitros, my Yerusha, is this, all of you. A CBST kid came up to me 2 years ago and said to me, Rabbi, I finally realized who you remind me of. And I said, oh yeah? I thought, maybe something grand, Emma Goldman maybe. And he said, you remind me of the Harry Potter in the first Harry Potter movie, the 12-year-old. I said, thank you. You are my oitros. You are my Yerusha. And I pray to God to be worthy enough to be yours. Thank you very much.